the Classic Car Club. This is a standard 160 coupe, so it has, I say, all the normal features you would have seen from Packard, and I'm showing you this from all angles to give you an idea in contrast what I'm going to show you here in just a moment. And these are wonderful driving cars. They have a 356 cubic inch straight 8, and with overdrive these cars easily go 70 miles an hour on the highway. Now this is again a standard bodied coupe from Packard in 1940. If we swing over here, this is also a 1940 Packard convertible coupe, but with a body by Howard Dutch Darren, who was one of the greatest designers of the classic era. And you can see the contrast, particularly in height, between these two cars. The standard 160 coupe on the left, and on the right, the Darren coupe. And if we get alongside, you can really see the contrast in height of these two cars. Now, Darren worked out of a shop in Hollywood. He had worked previously in Paris during the 1920s and had a very successful career designing for kings and queens and celebrities all over the world. And then in 1937 he came back to Hollywood at the request of Darryl Zanuck and started designing cars pretty much exclusively for the Hollywood crowd. And in 1940 Packard decided to catalog his custom creations and put them in their catalog so they were available to a wider audience. It's a beautiful car. This one is built on a 120 chassis, which has a smaller engine, but Darren, it said, actually preferred the 120 chassis, and he would take a standard coupe like this in a 120 format, and he would chop the top off and lower the hood, and came up with this creation, which is quite beautiful. We're going to go back to 1929. A remarkable car. This is an L29 Cord, and this is generally acknowledged as being the first production front-wheel drive car that was made in America and made in Indianapolis, Auburn Cord Duesenberg Company. Actually, Auburn, Indiana, I should say. And these were way ahead of their time. And unfortunately, they were introduced in the fall of 1929, just right before the stock market crash. So they, unfortunately, did not have wide sales, but they are certainly spectacular. And this restoration of this one, particularly in black and orange, is absolutely gorgeous. The lever you see coming out of the dashboard, that's the gear shift knob, which goes straight through, down the hood, and down to the front of the engine, where it drops down and activates the transmission, which is right at the front here, right behind that cover is where the transmission sits. This also has wood lights, which were, I don't know if they were necessarily popular, but they were certainly an exclusive accessory available in the 20s, and you often see Cords with these. The interesting thing on this car, which you rarely see, is the fact that it not only has wood lights up front, it actually has wood light tail lights, which are really pretty neat. And again, those you don't see. And some people say if you drive them, you can't see either, but that's another story. This is really a beautifully done car. It's brought here to the show by Joel Nystrom. I'm not going to show you all the cars today, but we'll show you some of these, which are certainly spectacular. 1930 Stutz. This is an M8. Stutz were made in Indianapolis. They had a great racing history from the Indy 500. They were called the car that made good in a day because they placed highly in the first Indy 500. And they were really, again, a beautiful car, and by this time they were very elegant as well. And this is a convertible sedan, four-door convertible. 28 Packard in a periwinkle blue. Unusual color combination, but quite striking on this car. And this is a dual windshield Phaeton. windshield for the folks in the back seat. It's not a dual cowl. It does not have the metal cowl, but it does have the cover you can snap on. So if you're in the back seat, you don't get blown around too much. Again, you can see there's some great cars here. I'm going to take a look around. One of the highlights of the show is right here. I'm coming up on. The license plate might give you a clue. As will the hubcaps. Yes, it's a Duesenberg, 1935. This Duesenberg was custom built for Bill Robinson, Bill Bojangles Robinson, famous dancer. And he ordered this and had a custom body made for it. The price new in 1935 was $17,500. Now the chassis alone was $10,000 for a Duesenberg, so it's a $7,500 body. That would be equivalent to over $300,000 today to make this car. And today, you probably couldn't make this car because you couldn't find the craftsman to do it. The body on this is made by Rolston. And again, it's absolutely pristine. It for many years was owned by Bill Dybel up in the Seattle area. And he had it for about 50 years. And then Ron Hillierides now in California owns this. And it's absolutely a gorgeous car, and certainly the best example of what you would call a one-off body, a one-off creation on a Duesenberg chassis.